Got it.
Live in front of your naked steaming eyes.
What's up, everybody? Actually, you know what, Lou? We gotta do our intro.
Let's do the intro.
Let's do the intro. We'll be right back with the intro in 2 seconds. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Bear with me. Here it comes.
It's time for Red Salad Review with your hosts, Wayne Moon, Greg Narlow, and Lou Maddox.
Hey, welcome to Red Salad Review. What's going on, everybody? Today we're
doing all right.
Good, I'm glad. Today we are joined by Norman Skinner from the band. I'm going to hopefully pronounce this correctly. Niviane.
There you go. Actually, it can be pronounced multiple ways, so
Okay.
you were safe.
All right, good. What's the other ways we can pronounce that?
We were told that the way you pronounced it, Niviane, is the most popular way. South America, Europe, etc.
Right.
But here in America, we pronounce it incorrectly. We pronounce it Niviane.
Oh,
Now I learned this, of course, after the fact, after I had already recorded a song on the last album called Niviane to help people with the pronunciation. Then we find out, well, you're kind of pronouncing it wrong. Well, too late. That's the way it's pronounced for us. So.
It suffers from the Celtic Frost syndrome. I mean, the Celtic Frost syndrome. We just don't know. We'll never will.
So yeah, I swear everybody has a problem with the name, and I just go, hey, it's good. Don't worry about it.
Well, hopefully no one's ever called it Niviane. I mean,
no, yes, yes,
for
sir.
the love of Christ. Okay.
Yes.
Well, actually, I think in your biography, you have it actually broken down how it's said. So I was hoping that I pronounced it correctly. So I'm glad I was. But anyway, we are joined with you today, and I actually listened to your new album. Well, your latest album, because you're working on a new one right now, right?
Your third one, correct?
Third one, you got it. Yes.
Listen to the Ruthless Divine I was listening to, and it's very good stuff. And I was reading a little bit because I never heard of you guys before, but I've actually heard of your older band, Magica. That band's been around for quite a while. So
right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I never heard of this band, and yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. I mean, your vocals are awesome, and I see you get a lot of praise for your vocals.
Yeah, I do. I consider myself sort of a hack, but people seem to like what I do, so I'm like, yeah, all right.
There's nothing hackish about it.
No, we do a great job. And also too, I also noticed you're also the vocalist for the band Hellscream.
I am and was, but
Okay.
this last year, everything just got too much. I had too many projects and stuff, and I was just getting stressed. Self-care, right? You got to take care of yourself. So I actually stepped away. That was just a recording project anyway.
Right.
So we did 2 albums, and it didn't seem like there was really maybe even going to be a third. Those guys, for those that are unaware, Hellscream is basically Cage,
Right,
or the 3 Tremors, just with me singing. Same group of guys, and 3 Tremors started taking off, and they were getting really busy. So
right.
it just made sense. We got 2 albums out there, and hopefully those that have heard them like them.
Yeah. No, they're really good. Are you, because you obviously work with the guys from Cage? Are you friends with Sean Peck as well?
Yeah. I actually met him. I've only actually met him in person once, but we did a lot of drinking, a lot of just being metal. But we've talked on the phone a couple times, and we're of course online. We're very good friends online. So, but I'm sure we'll be hanging out again. Actually, I'm sorry, I've only met him twice. First time we met was way back in the Magica days. They were, I think, headlining one day of a festival, and Magica was headlining the other day. We ended up meeting very briefly. So,
Right. Yeah.
There's only one man in the world that Sean Peck has never met, and that's me. I've never met him.
yet.
Not yet. But yeah, because actually I noticed when I was listening to some of the Hellscream stuff that there are some similarities with you and his vocals a little bit.
Yeah, it's
screams and stuff.
When I got together with Dave Garcia Conan, we actually met at NAMM in passing at one of the shows, like the Dean sponsored show or something, and he was talking about how Sean had to take some time off, or he was doing something. It's around 2011, 2012, and we were talking about, how our bands have played together, and like, oh, if you got free time, I do too. Maybe we can do something sometime. And that was the end of it. And then 2 months later, my inbox had a couple songs in it, and I was like, oh, okay. And I demoed, I think the first song I demoed was called Phoenix Will Rise. And I sent it to him as just a demo. And that demo actually made it on the album as the recording.
Right.
And then he just replied back, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to do an album. So, we did a couple studio albums, and, it's been all good.
Yeah.
But when I went into it, it was like, well, what kind of stuff should I do? And everything he writes is so just balls out, just speed and traditional metal. So, and I'm like, I think he is used to Sean, so I better bring some high range on some of this stuff. So, I made sure to work it in.
Yeah. And you did very well too.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what's with Imagika? I mean, you've been in that band for quite a long time. Is that you started out with them?
No, well, so Magica, right? Let me try to wrap that. I don't want to bore everyone with all the Magica tale because there's a lot of it. But they had originally they had an original singer, David Michaels, sound of a fantastic vocalist.
Right.
And they released 3 albums. They did the self-titled, the album Worship, and then And So It Burns. And So It Burns is my favorite Magica album, and I don't even sing on it. So, I was a big fan of the band. Prior, they were local in the Bay Area, and I used to go to their shows. And you support the other bands, and secretly, there's always bands you really like, and the other bands you're sort of there to be like, hey.
Yeah.
They were a band I actually dug on, and then I heard someone hit me up through the grapevine. I don't remember who. I think it was one of their roadies or one of their techs. Just hit me up, and they're like, hey, Dave quit. They're looking for a new singer. So I met the guitar player at I remember we met at a concert. It was a Maiden Halford concert with Queensryche on the bill. That was that tour.
The Brave New World tour.
Yes. Lou's got it. And so it was that tour. We met, the guitar player and then I auditioned. Funny thing, little side note, there was a guy sitting in the corner at my vocal audition. I had no idea who he was. And he was like their guy, another singer to kind of look me over and hear me and make sure, give them the thumbs up. It was actually Neil Turbin, the original Anthrax singer. So I guess he went.
Wayne knows Neil Turbin.
Yeah. So I guess he gave them the thumbs up there. He's like, this guy's really good. Yeah. So I got the gig. I ended up doing 4 albums between 2004 to 2010. And then the band broke up. Yeah. It was a bad breakup. And then we didn't talk for about 9 years. And then his band Kill Ritual was on tour with Iced Earth in Sanctuary, and we were just hanging out, had a few shots. Funny how alcohol makes everything all good again. You're like,
right?
we're friends again.
It is how nations at war found peace together at one point. So yes, we condone that.
It makes sense, right? And then he basically, it was 2019. We put out one more album, which was Only Dark Hearts Survive. And that was it. I at the same time I walked away from Hellscream, I also walked away again from Imagika. That was just this last year. But everyone got one more album out of us. And, special on drums was Matt Thompson from King Diamond. So, that's fantastic too, right? You can't go wrong with that. So, I'm not a guy that likes to jump in and out of bands. Like if I do a project or a band, I try to stick with it. But when you got like 5 or 6 going at the same time, something's got to give and you got to prioritize. So.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're the vocalist too, because that's a lot of wear and tear on your voice. So you can only do so much.
Absolutely, definitely a fine line between keeping your chops in shape and overdoing it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So with this last album that you put out, I noticed that you are more into the power metal type bands.
I am. So Imagika was more of a thrash band when I joined. And then when I joined, it sort of became power thrash because I was less thrashy, more of a power metal vocalist. That's just been, that's not what I started out with listening to, obviously, as a kid. Our influences evolve, right? I mean, I went through classic metal, and I went through the hair metal stage, and then I got into some prog metal and thrash. But ultimately, I found that my particular taste is in power metal, and more, I should say, heavy power metal, not the cheesy, lighter fairies and forest crap.
Right.
I'm talking like, more of the heavy. I like Primal Fear and Mystic Prophecy and Brainstorm, like more of the heavier, what?
Halloween.
Halloween. Halloween's
Yeah.
kind of like the staple. They're on the cusp for me. I
Okay.
like some Halloween. Same with Hammerfall.
That was for you, Wayne.
All right.
Hammerfall and Halloween are right on that line.
Yeah.
50% I love. 50% I'm lactose intolerant. I can't deal with the cheese yet. So,
It's all right.
but
Well, then
that's
I better hide this milkshake if you're lactose intolerant.
but that's it. I am a big power metal guy. And then when the time came, and I heard about Niviane, actually, it's a weird story, but when I found out it was going to be a power metal band, I was like, yes, I've been wanting to sing for just a heavy power metal band. And luckily it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. I think it does.
I couldn't help but hear some influence, and I mean this with all the respect in the world because I love their earliest output, the band Soilwork. There were moments from the first album where I was like, oh my God, this is like if Soilwork had all clean power metal vocals, and I was really digging it.
Yeah, if I were to pick a second sort of subgenre, that's my favorite. It's pretty much a lot of that melodic death or that Scandinavian In Flames, Soilwork, Mercenary, Scar Symmetry, Disharmonia Mundi. That kind of stuff is like my second tier. Like, oh yeah. So, and musically, I mean that works because like it's funny, right? Because we got 6 guys in the band. They all got different influences. And here's the stuff that they're bringing in. One guitar player, he's like Mr. Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, very throwback, the guys, Yngwie. And then the other guy is straight, man. He has Iron Maiden tattoo and he was in a Maiden tribute band, but we listen to a lot of more modern bands and a lot of these European bands for influence and stuff, Ord Nogan and, Manimal and just bands like that. So it definitely filters into our music and gives us a much heavier vibe than a lot of regular, I guess, American power metal bands that you might hear. So yes, thank you for the musical compliment for the band. Soilwork.
You're entirely welcome.
I love me some Soilwork.
Yeah, and I also like too how you infuse some of that growling type vocals into the songs as well. So
this next album we'd go even further. It's like the first album, Druid King, was a little more polished. I think we were starting to find our sound. There's a bunch of guys that brought their own songs in, right? That they all had, and then we just kind of put them together and did what we did. And right out the gate, I was thinking, all right, I'm in a power metal band. I got to have those high soaring vocals and big harmonies and everything. I threw some spice in. Then on the Ruthless Divine, we kind of found our core sound, and I'm like, I want to let loose a little bit, I want to like put some balls to it. And this next album number 3, we go even a step further, a little heavier, but we still keep the dynamics. So
good. Lou, you saying something? Because I thought you was
No, I wasn't, but I do have a question. So if I guess
yes, the distinguished gentleman of metal.
Huh? No, just kidding. Considering you said that the sound of the music takes a darker edge, I mean, what would you say influenced you lyrically this time around as opposed to with the first 2 albums?
So lyrically, the first album was a whole lot of what you would expect. Steel and power and armies and mythological shit, We
like that stuff. Nothing wrong with it.
Right. But, I also tried to make sure that the lyrics were smart. To put it simply, just you're not reading it going, the power of steel, and I'm fighting a battle on a unicorn or some, in my chainmail and speedo or whatever. But I wanted it, I wanted them to be cool. But on the second album, Ruthless Divine, I was like, and you can only write so many songs about, a big old army storming a castle and so forth, So I started branching out a little bit more on this third album. Literally only like I think a third of the songs are what people would expect. They're either historical, mythological, or fantasy based, type. I'm branching out more into just songs that everyone can lyrically get behind. There's songs about depression and songs about dark breakups and things like that. I just wanted to branch out. I didn't want to be a one trick pony with swords and dragons and whatever.
Yes,
that's admirable.
Yeah, but to answer your question, just to kind of loop around, I draw inspiration from everywhere, like a lot of people do, right? You see people in everyday activities, you kind of draw inspiration from that, your own personal activities, watching TV, reading books, whatever it may be. I just, kind of soak it up and put it on music. So
yeah, I think that really makes like the best songs, really, because like you said, how many times can you write about dragons and freaking castles and all this crap? And
exactly. I mean,
hey,
it's
Dio
good.
made a career out of
I
it,
know,
but he
I
was
know,
great.
this is
You know what? You just got me with that. I mean, that's a winner.
He's the exception to the rule, though. He gets a pass forever.
He does. Although let's admit, a lot of his lyrics could be pretty interchangeables about rainbows.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. The man was
let's
the
say-
king of metaphors and similes. I mean,
Yeah,
geez.
and he used them over and over and over. But he's the Godfather. So
Yes, he is. But yeah, like even with my own band plug here, Project Resurrect.bandcamp.com.
I don't have the CD on me,
And
Wayne.
I don't
Sorry.
either. It's back there somewhere. Don't worry about it. But even when we started working on our stuff, I'm not I can't write lyrics for shit. But so I had to be forced to write lyrics for this, So it's like the first time I've ever done this. And I said to my guitarist, I said, I do not want dragons. I don't want all the all that stuff. And thank God the pandemic started. So all right, there's something that we can write about, and it's kind of current, and people will relate to that, and just some other stuff, some other things that I found, some stories and stuff that were true stories that I found online. So I like things that are real.
Right.
I don't like the fake stuff sometimes. Just kind of boring. So I'm glad to see that bands like you are trying to do something new. Empowerment.
yeah. I mean, I'll always throw one or two in here and there, just
Yeah,
because,
of course.
but
You can't help it,
Right. I mean, then that's what a lot of people want, right? There are those fans that are just like, I want my dragon,
Right.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There isn't. Half of my collection back there is full of dragon stories.
There you go.
Wayne has a pet dragon named Spot in his basement.
Yes, I do. And he's very hungry right now.
Wow, that took a dumb turn. Anyways, resume.
Crickets. This album is forget about the new album. You've actually, over the course of this, since this band's been around, you've had members come and go, and recently you just got a new drummer in the band, right?
Yes. It was unfortunate when the pandemic hit. Unfortunately, our drummer, he's actually also my solo drummer for my band Skinner.
Okay.
So we're still really close, and he's just finished drums a little while ago for my upcoming solo album. But when I was in the band, there was, we had a drummer, and I was like, this guy's not cutting it. Everyone was they didn't want to have to replace anybody, but I was like, it's necessary. So I got rid of the original drummer they had. I brought in my solo drummer. He's on both of the first two albums. Noe Luna, fantastic drummer. He's also we've talked to him. If our current drummer can't do something, he's always willing to fill in as well. But when the pandemic hit, he lost his work. He was unable to keep up with the financials and the time, and he just had a lot going on. So he had to mutually step away from the band. So it wasn't, there was no drama. It wasn't a musical difference. There was literally nothing. It was just personal life. He had to take care of himself,
Right.
in his family. Luckily, we got offered, during the pandemic, a bunch of bands, they would do these online fests, right? Streaming fests and stuff. We did a couple of those. So we had one lined up, and we contacted a local drummer, Isaiah AR, and we said, hey, would you be interested in filling in, learning some songs for this fest that we're doing? And over the couple of weeks that we were jamming with him, and to do that, I don't remember what happened, but I think somebody in the band looked over at him, and he was just like grinning and had this look, and someone's like, you want to be in this band, don't you? He's like, yeah. We're like, shit, all right. And that was it. No audition. So, and he's fit in perfectly, man. We just finished doing drum tracking this last weekend for the third album. He's just killing it. So yeah, we had to make the change. It was unfortunate. We were totally worried about it, but things worked out.
Yeah.
So yay.
That's always great when like the other band members give the thumbs up as the first performance is going. And if you're saying that your guitar player was grinning, then you know what? It was meant to be. That's awesome. So
Right. I mean, they don't make for good stories because I think we can all agree the bad auditions make for the best stories, right?
Of course they do. Yes.
True, but I refuse to watch American Idol, even to watch the horrible train wrecks of singers they have.
No, I mean, see, I think American, not to get too off topic, but this is important. I think that American Idol originally was way better when they would show all the horrible auditions in the beginning. Now they show maybe one or two and they just put these really good, the good ones. I'm like, I want to see the crap. I want to see the bad, you know? So,
yeah, that shows where that shows went, right? Ever since they stopped that shows went to shit now. So
right, yeah. Because everyone wants to see a good train wreck. Come on.
Right. No, it's true. What?
I don't know. My conscience gets the better of me. I'd rather watch like train wreck movies, like, you know, like purposely made bad movies just so I can sit and find something to laugh at. I hate seeing it happen to people in real life, but you know, this is Rat Side Review. Fuck my conscience. Anyways, resume. I'm sorry.
Bad movies like Motorama?
I said bad movies, not shit, Wayne. Resume.
Have you ever seen Motorama?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh
you don't want to know.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a pass, man.
It's a hard pass. So
it's a great movie about a child who goes out on his own and drives a car around.
And you judge me for loving Toxic Avenger, you son of a bitch.
Anyway. Well, that's a cult classic, all right.
Thank you.
I have no problem with that movie at all.
But you're not selling me on Motorama, man. Just a kid driving a car.
Drew Barrymore's in it for like 5 seconds.
Is she topless?
Literally 5 seconds.
Is she of age and topless?
I think she was 17 when she did it. No.
I don't want to go into R. Kelly territory.
No.
And there's a lot of strange cameos by Flea and who else was in that movie?
Meatloaf and Michael J. Pollard, Jack Nance, Eraserhead himself. It's just the most random movie.
But it doesn't work, huh?
Box is right there and I can't grab it, but I'm not getting it.
I condemn the day Wayne was hatched for making me watch this film. So,
I like pain. I like when people are in pain on this show. So
like I said, he loves to watch train wrecks.
Where are you two based out of?
We're actually both in New York on Long Island.
Yeah, East Coast, right on.
Yeah, I'm from New York City originally, but I now live in Long Island. Wayne's Long Island born and bred, so you know we're family men, but we're metalheads too. So
right on. We just toured through there, and I got to go to New York for my first time ever. On this last tour, and I actually got to go and have some New York pizza.
What did you think?
Fuck yes, it was.
Thank God.
Dude, I walk in and it's just like, oh, you know, they had them all just laid out and they were all great. We had way too much pizza, but it was good, you know, because you hear from different parts of the country, people talk up there, you know, you have to get like this from here, you know, whatever. Right. And New York pizza is one of them, and it did not disappoint, man.
What was it? Manhattan pizza, or was it? Well, which borough was it?
We were in New York City, so it was whatever was near the venue we were playing. We were playing some theater. Can't remember the name of it. Let's pull it up.
The PlayStation Theater?
No, it was like a classic like theater, like old, like some, you know. See, I would name a place here, but you guys won't know what I'm talking about.
Sony Hall. Was it the Kingsland or?
Might have been that. Here, I can actually tell you right now. It was. Dun dun dun.
We'll be back. Right.
Let's see here. It was. Here we go. Buffalo, New York, Gramercy Theater.
The Gramercy. Oh, okay, so you had New York City pizza. Okay, yes.
Good. And it was good. I dug it, man.
Who'd you play with at the Gramercy?
We were on tour with Soulfly.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone said. But you know, imagine for a moment. Imagine, if you will, you go to the show and you're ready to see Soulfly, and you got your vest on, your patches, and you know, Max, you're gonna see Max. Oh, what? Dino from Fear Factory is filling in. This is gonna be heavy as shit, right? And here come these guys out in black. One of them has a keytar. Okay, you know, these people. This is what people would tell us. They were like, I'm in there in the front row and I see like your keytar player come out, and I'm thinking, the hell is this? What am I in for? And then of course we would just bring it, and then afterwards there's a line. to our merch table. Everyone's like, dude, that was badass. So we actually were able to win over the fans, even though the styles weren't quite, there, but their fans did not know what to make of us when we first would step out on stage. So
and then you won them over. No, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, I love Soulfly. I mean, I grew up on, Sepultura and what Max did with Soulfly in the beginning, definitely. So the fact that they were cool enough to take you on tour and, the fact that their fans gravitated to you, that's a beautiful thing.
yeah, I only had one fan that, I don't know. It's like you have those people that kind of come up and they try to give you a compliment, but they also trash you at the same time. So
Oh, passive aggressive schmucks. Yeah.
I guess this guy comes up and he goes, man, you got a great growl, man. Like, oh, I could feel it. He goes, but the rest of your singing sucks, man. That high stuff, you gotta stop doing that. That's horrible. It's just horrible. But man, you can growl, man. I'll tell him my boy, oh, this is great, but suck at that other stuff. I'm just like, oh, thanks, man.
If that person is watching this episode right now, he's on the show and you're not. So just remember that.
Crazy.
But you know what? I'm always, I'm that guy. Like a lot of singers, they you hear them, oh, save your voice, stay in the green room, don't talk to people. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather be out by the merch table, meeting people, hanging out, making metal friends. That's what I call it. Mm-hmm. And then, if my voice is somewhat a little tired during my set, so be it. As long as the attack is there and the energy,
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing too that you do that, because not that you're starting out, but not too many people know who you guys are, especially when you come out here. All right. And that makes you more you get more fans, I think, that way too, because it makes you look like personable to the people that are coming and buying your merch and meeting you and stuff. So
I couldn't agree more.
Oh yeah, you were in the audience, definitely.
Yeah,
and people definitely remember that, and then they remember the band name and say, "Oh, that guy was cool," and I'll look him up on Facebook or whatever and buy the album.
Yeah, and I notice. I mean, this is for a lot of other bands that are coming up the ranks. I mean, when we're out there before we play and we're meeting people before, then and sometimes we don't even tell them we're in the band because we're just hanging out, chatting up people. Then they see us on stage, they're like, "Oh, those dudes were cool. I'm going to go and check them out." It definitely is helpful. We try to stay very humble. Like none of us have any delusions of grandeur. None of us got into this to be like famous rock stars. We're just taking it as it comes, and if we make another milestone, hooray. But we know for sure in Northern California, we're a big fish in a small pond, but outside of our area, nobody knows who we are. Only little handfuls of people know. So and that's the reality of it. And we have to keep that in mind as we're pressing ahead. So,
yeah. And what did you think of the Gramercy Theater?
Oh, it was nice. It was one of the nicer venues we played, actually. I really liked it. I love a lot of those old ones, those old theaters that get, changed over from what they used to be, that are still live places. And sometimes they have some great, acoustics and sounds because they're made for, opera and plays and stuff. So
it was actually
that theater had been closed down for a while. It was I not even closed down. It wasn't. I don't even know what it was before it was a Gramercy. I don't think it was anything. So, I mean, I had been there once before the pandemic started. I went to go see the band Ginger, and it was great. I mean, great live show, great acoustics. The audience was responsive, and it's intimate enough but big enough so that you feel like you're playing to a big crowd and everybody gets into it. So I'm glad you had that experience.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
I mean, thank God he didn't play a place like Castle Heights. That was a venue that we both played at back in the day. That was a closet.
I've played my fair share of those, man. We all have those stories. Of
course. Mm-hmm. Actually, my last show that I ever played was at the Gramercy Theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I opened up for Epica.
Nice.
We were the opening band, so I was like, "This is it. I'm done. I'm sick of playing with you guys. This is my last show," and that was it. Never played ever again.
It ain't getting better than this.
It didn't. No, it did not. So did you get to meet Max and Dino? And what was Dino was in Soulfly? He was
filling in because they had just gone through a guitar change before.
Yeah.
So due to the pandemic, their camp was very secluded.
Okay. Yeah.
They were very, let's just say they were worried about, germs and stuff. So we met Dino a few times here and there. He was, he was very chatty and stuff. Max, very elusive. I only met him, funny enough, on the entire tour. I met him 2 days before the tour ended, and that was at the Gramercy.
Okay.
Which we're talking about. So, but he was way cool. Their camp is really much a family affair, right? Because he has his kids on tour, and one's in the band, and so I was running our merch booth, and one of his sons is running their merch booth. So, and he was cool. So we'd be chatting every day. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I never really got into Soulfly, but I'm a huge Sepultura fan. So. Yeah,
me too. I'm more, marked out every time that they, sorry for the wrestling term, but every time that they would go into, Sepultura songs, I'd be like, yeah, there we go. High school.
Now, you mentioned wrestling. Obviously, Lou loves wrestling. I'm also too a wrestling fan. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh, my favorite, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Always. The excellence of execution, the Hitman, Bret the Hitman Hart. So I haven't watched wrestling in a couple of years, but I watched a lot all the way up to even sort of recently. But he's always been my favorite. He was my go-to.
Yeah, you don't want to watch the new stuff. It's terrible.
Yes.
it's so like God. I can't even watch it. I can't.
Yeah, the only wrestling thing I watch right now is every time an episode of Dark Side of the Ring drops. Okay, I watch that show.
Oh, it's a great show.
Yeah. Some crazy shit on there. I'm like, what? I didn't know that. So
I did have one pro wrestler on my podcast, Music is Live podcast. I had the wrestler Masada. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
I remember that name.
He's a Texan wrestler who he was in the he was trained under the tutelage of Rudy Boy Gonzalez and Shawn Michaels, went to Ring of Honor and TNA, WWE, made his name wrestling death matches in Big Japan Wrestling, came back to the United States, made his name here, bigger than it was before, being a death match wrestler. And, he's more than a death match wrestler. Like, he can wrestle any kind of style, but, he's a great guy, a nice guy. And the best thing about him, he's a metalhead. So
even better.
Yeah.
So he's got a couple things working for him. I think that's where I saw that name. I don't know if it was probably something with the Japanese death matches, because that's where it's kind of ringing a bell. So, but yeah, come on, wrestling. I think we're all probably around the same age, so we all grew up with it. So
yeah, of course, the good period of wrestling.
Yes.
It's like, if you want to find good wrestling, it's like now it's like you really have to look for it, because it's not on television.
I remember our first year being a band, we met a wrestler at one of our shows in Reno, Nevada, and he heard one of our songs that was going to be on the second album, and it was the song Like Lions. It was the intro. He's like, hey, when you guys record that, I want to make that my entrance music. And we're like, yeah, sure, but I don't know. I didn't keep tabs on that guy, but that could have been kind of cool, actually. I don't know.
Yeah. Good promotion too. People hear it at the wrestling shows and they say, what is that?
There you go.
And going back to Niviane, we were talking about you got a new drummer, but over the years you've had members come and go. Is it hard to really get used to making new music with newer people, or how do you guys work with that?
Not really. Like anybody that would look at our bio or look at the member changes, the two member changes that happened early happened before we even recorded our first album. So one was the original drummer, and that was me bringing in my drummer.
Yeah. And
then my drummer left, which we talked about. The only other change we had was one of the two founding guitar players. So a lot of people might know it. The other founding guitar player is Claudius Kramer, who's in Possessed now. Okay. So he's the one that recruited me into the band. Wow. I didn't know any of the other members. And then within 1 year, after playing just a couple shows, he decided, I don't know, he was going to just do the Possessed thing or something, which is way different than what we do. Right. And so he just did that and left, but he told everyone except me. but yeah, we're really good friends, but really that was it. He had 3 songs that we couldn't really use, but we were in the writing stages for our first album anyway. Right. So we brought in a new guitar player at the time, Gary Tarpley, and we just kept going. So luckily we've had 0 auditions. The change of members just sort of fall into place for us. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I always like the new blood though. And if it fits, like
Right.
kind of what Lou was saying, when you're grinning, you're like, all right, this is gonna work. When it fits, it's great because you're getting that new dynamics, something a little fresh.
Yeah.
When you lose somebody, that's the part that sucks. That's where you're like, you have to put an ad out. We're gonna have to audition people. Who I can't even think of anyone that's worth a crap. And if they are worth a crap, I definitely don't want them in my band because they're dick. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, there's layers of it, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
musicians. You know exactly what I'm
Oh,
talking.
yeah, we definitely know. We even have another musician friends of ours that are actually looking for a second guitarist, and they're having a problem because either they say bring your shit when you come to audition, be prepared, and they keep getting these people that just don't come prepared. So I don't know why these people bother. Like you're wasting your time and their time.
Exactly.
So it's just, and that's one thing I hated about being in a band, because when people left and you got to retrain them all these new songs and everything, and then if they don't stay, then you just wasted your time.
Yeah, that is one of the really big sucky parts of it for sure.
But it seems like you guys seem to work out fairly well with that. So
yeah, we're all happy, easygoing guys. Like really hardly ever any drama in our camp. We're just all kind of like, not you might understand this comment for sure, but let's just say I've met way too many heroes that turned out to be cock stars, and I don't want to be one of those.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I'd rather just be a guy that's just like every time I meet somebody at a show, I'm like, hey, if there's room on my social media or hit me up, man. I always say this: you can never have too many cool metal friends.
Right.
It's just metal's a family. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I might not always remember your face or your name, but the more we interact, I will.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. So everybody go follow him on Facebook right now.
Yeah, follow me.
Skinner.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And send me a message. I'll be like, I reply to everything. I don't just be like, even if it's weird.
I put up the ad for the interview tonight, and then I come back on Facebook, and then all of a sudden you added me, and then you followed all the stuff and you retweeted everything, which a lot of people don't do. So I really appreciate you doing that.
Oh, dude, come on. That is 101, man. I absolutely, anybody that's going to take
you
the
would
time,
think so,
right? It's called cross promotion, people. You know what I mean? It's not only just, wow, people that tune in to Rat Salad are going to learn who I am and they're going to follow me and all that. Well, maybe some of my fans need to start tuning into Rat Salad and seeing what kind of killer musicians and things you guys are chatting about. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
it's
thank you. Unfortunately, this all goes back to the word you said before, cock stars. And some people are like, hey, I'd love to have you on. Well, I don't know. What can you do for me? I'm having you on. Okay.
Yeah, it's exposure, man.
You're waiting and they don't do nothing.
That's just, I would think, and of course I'm probably completely wrong in my mind, but I would think any type of media, right? Because I consider you guys, music journalists, media, right? You're in the promotions, entertainment.
We're two guys just.
No, but I'm just saying.
But I guess we get lumped into that. But
right, anybody that would reach out to a musician and saying, "Hey, how about some free exposure? Put you on my show." Why would you not say, "Hell yeah, brother, thank you"?
I know, yeah. It's common sense.
I mean, we're fans of the music first, and if we come across something that we like, we are out to kind of disrupt the mainstream. Like we'll talk about the bands that we like that no one else knows about. If we're lucky enough to get somebody who is of a stature that is known on an international level, that's great. It's not going to change us because we're fans first. So
I love that.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be.
Right. And do you find like when you play with other bands, like some lesser known bands, I mean, is there like a kind of like a community? Like, do you guys help each other out, or like, do you see other bands just like, kind of like, we're on a show with you, screw you guys, and it's all about us kind of thing?
It's a mixed bag. I think it's the same in all different scenes around the country and around the world, right? You're going to have those certain bands that just will come out and be like, and they're all just about their stuff and their fans, and they don't care about any camaraderie, right? Then you got the other bands that you got guys that are they just want to grow the scene. They're just happy to be there. And maybe they have no really aspirations beyond making some demos and just rocking out, right? And you got everything in between. Us, we're at a stage where, this is a business to us. We're all veterans. We've been in bands that have done this. We've done lots of tours. We know that there's a lot of financials and time and energy that all goes into it. But when we're on a gig, we try to be nice to everybody, whether they're, we're opening for them or they're opening for us. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna bring up something some people think is controversial, but this is my thoughts.
I love controversy. Go.
Yes. So a lot of people say, well, what happened to music scene? Because a lot of music scenes throughout the United States are dying for one reason or another, in some instances, necessarily, not all of them. Like our music scene here is great. Right. But a lot of people would, for a long time, were blaming like pay to play, right? Oh, you got to sell tickets and stuff. Everyone hated that, but I don't think that was an issue. What I find in all the different music scenes I've been in where I've lived is too many bands and not enough fans, meaning everybody wants to be in a band. Now you get people that aren't used to going to these local shows, just the ones like you go to a Maiden concert, you're like, where the hell are all these people when we're playing? Right. Metalheads, right? Yeah. So at some point in time, people get dragged to these local shows, right? I'm going to go out with my friends and they got to sit through like 3 crappy, horrible bands to see a band that's pretty good. And I think honestly, that's what sort of killed a lot of the music scenes from getting everyone going to these local shows. Music scenes that thrive, I think more have a lot better talent of bands. Like you take the Bay Area and the 80s, right? And the thrash band, you can name all these bands. LA, right? The scene, all these great bands, even the grunge scene up in Seattle, all these great bands. So I would rather see some kids that are just starting out get a shot on a club show than some guys that have been hacking away at it for 25 years and they still aren't that great,
Right. Yeah.
So I know it's almost like taboo to talk like that. Well, you shouldn't be saying things like that, but you know what? It's the truth, man. There's too many bands out there that are just, giving a bad rep to the bands that are somewhat more talented or better, put more time, energy into it. So
yeah, it is kind of interchangeable. I'm sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
I was gonna say that is kind of interchangeable with the whole pay to play concept, because like you said, you have some guys that have been doing it forever, so they have enough disposable income so they could do pay to play. And then what happens is they're obviously the least liked band on the bill, but then the one band that's actually really good that has to shell the money out of their own pockets just to be in the gig, and then they end up going in the red for it. It hurts them and it hurts their chances. And they, not that they grow up to be bitter, but you could see why there's a kind of resentment from good musicians like that, and we don't condone pay to play, and we do believe in paying dues, but not paying to be on a freaking show just because the promoter's dangling the carrot in front of you. We don't like that.
Yeah, luckily it's seems to only really happy with some of the larger venues and the larger shows, but it'd be nice if that just went away. I'd rather, I think it's just the greed of promoters, or promoters being too scared to book bands that are comparable and that the people would like, right? Because how many times do you go to see a band that's coming through, right? Like say, for instance, maybe Ginger came through or something, but some of the bands that were local that maybe were on the bill, you're like, what the fuck booked this? How the hell did they get on this show? And it's something like that. Because I go see shows, I'll see like a thrash show come through, and I know that there's thrash bands in the Sacramento area that are spectacular that could easily be on the bill, and instead there's some like core band from some place that doesn't match and just should not be on the bill. But anyway, now I'm just complaining. You guys are just gonna complain.
No, it's they're worthy gripes, totally. I mean, they're grievances that a lot of metal fans feel, and
but luckily, no, go on.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, because there used to be a lot of venues out here on Long Island, and in some of the boroughs that would do that, and they're not here anymore because, aside from the pandemic, people just kind of wised up to it. So now I see more people playing backyard parties, and they're loving it. It's like the days of Van Halen in the 70s. It's awesome.
There you go.
How do I know I play those backyard parties?
The best part about playing the smaller venues with the more hungry and smart promoters, they pay you. You actually get paid some money. Yeah. So that's always nice. Luckily for Niviane, we're in a good spot. We any show in the area that we get asked to do, it's usually we're always has to headline. We're usually paid. So we've kind of grown beyond having to deal with a lot of the stuff that happens as you're moving up the ladder locally. And we're just talking locally, obviously. So now we're at a point where we can be a little picky and choosy about which shows we accept, and if it makes sense for us, and then put out an album and do an actual, solid tour to support the album, and then just do it all over again. Just keep going. Hope we get some more fans. I hope we get more listeners. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, that's all it's about. Since the pandemic started, how has the clubs been in where you are? Like,
so we heard of a few closed here and there, but honestly, they've just been opening a couple new ones. So the Sacramento metal scene is fantastic up here, and it's booming, it's growing. And what's funny is a lot of the bands that I used to have to drive 2 hours down to the San Francisco Bay Area to see, now when they tour through, they're actually coming up through here and not through the Bay. So I'm like, sweet, I can just take an Uber right there and drink a lot, come home safe.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. And you feel like the music scene is, since you just said it feels like it's growing.
Yeah, if I look at my calendar, almost every night of the week there's multiple shows that I'm invited to. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Is there any new bands that you guys been playing with that you really, really like?
New bands?
Yeah.
I don't know. Most of my favorite bands are guys that have been around for a little while in the area. But there are some great bands up in this area. Like we have our friends at Potential Threat. They put out a few albums, thrash band. They've done European tours and US tours. They're solid, really good band. I'm freaking blanking. There's our band, friends of ours in Short Fuse. They're actually out on tour Soulfly right now. Oh, wow. So it's funny. We were chatting, comparing notes. So they're out doing that right now. They're a really, really great band. So there's a couple right there for people to check out.
Yeah, definitely. I always like to get new bands because I've never heard of them either. So it's always good to find new bands. I love finding new bands. So that's what this show's about.
Oh, there you go.
That's right. And that's what we found with you guys, a new band for us anyway. You guys been around for a while, but Niviane, go check the album out. The album was called Ruthless Divine. And what is the new album called?
I'll give you a name. So we haven't 100% confirmed it, but it sounds like, and I haven't told anybody this, no one knows.
Exclusive.
But I guess this would technically be an exclusive.
Blabbermouth exclusive.
Yeah, so we believe it's going to be called Beacon in the Darkness.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. I like it. Keep it.
Any plans to possibly tour Europe with this? Maybe like the Keep It True Fest or anything?
Oh, I wish. We're trying to break into the festival scene. We had so during our Druid King album, we were booked at a festival in Greece. I forget the name of it. And last minute we had to pull out. I think there was a visa issue with one of our guys or something. I don't really recall. And then we did a tour with Vicious Rumors. We were supposed to go follow up with them in Europe. And we were supposed to be on one of the big festivals over there with like the Black Dahlia Murder and some other bands. And for some reason, I can't remember why. Our guitar player, I think he messed up his shoulder. And so we had to drop out. So I'm like, man, so Niviane has not yet made it to Europe. We're trying to break into the festival scenes, but it just hasn't happened yet. So, but we'll see. As soon as we release this album, we're going to be working with booking agents, and we're going to be like, all right, what is available for Europe? What's available for the US? At this stage, a lot of people might not understand how it works, but you do what's called a buy-on. It's a certain amount that you pay to be on a tour. So the band needs to A, say, yeah, we'll take these guys out, and B, it's going to cost you this much to, be on the tour with us. So of course we have to find one where the timeline fits. That's a band we want to tour with, and the money's right.
Well, we definitely wish you all the best. And if the third album, the new album's of the same quality as the first two, I pray that it's your breakthrough to like an international level, man, because I love what I've heard so far.
Fingers crossed.
Right. Good luck with the new album, please. And where can people find your band and you and everything that you do?
So for the band, it's a one-stop shop. If you go to niviane.com, that's NIVIANE.com. We have all the social media links on there. Obviously, you got the music, the video, the news, all that stuff. For me, if anyone's interested in my current stuff, my multiple projects I'm in, and my past catalog, they can go to normanskinner.net. And I have, of course, all my social media stuff on there. And yep, love to hear from both you guys, so maybe we can chat on the off time as well, man. But
Definitely.
Yeah, but that's how people can find me. And I've always got my fingers in something. I'm always like, oh, I can't do anymore, but I'm always like, yeah, that sounds cool. I think I'll do that. So.
Yeah. All right, very cool. And I really appreciate you having on the show. And thanks to Ben from Online Metal Promo for setting this interview up. Anything you want to say about Ben?
Ben's awesome. If I will say this in the best way possible. Ben's a hustler, man. He makes stuff happen. So love that guy.
He is a very cool guy. And so thank you very much, Ben, for getting this interview going. And we will see you guys actually in a few minutes. We're going to have Dusty Gannon from the band Vision Video on in like 5 minutes. So stay tuned. All right.
Yes.
ratsaladreview.com. What?
I was gonna say, Norman, thank you.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you.
You guys
very
are
much,
awesome.
Norman. Had a lot of fun, and good luck with the new album. And we will be talking soon. All right.
Sweet.
All right. See you later.